Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering you owe money. Not a little money. A lot of money. Your boss treats you terribly. Your food tastes like wet cardboard. And every day feels exactly the same. Now imagine someone walks up and says, "Hey, want to become a pirate?" Suddenly you're imagining treasure, gold, adventure, freedom, a giant ship, and maybe a cool parrot. Sounds amazing. Except, almost everything you think you know about pirates is wrong. Movies make pirate life look awesome. Swinging from ropes, finding treasure, winning sword fights, drinking all night, and somehow always looking cool. Reality? Reality was much uglier, much smellier, and much deadlier. Most pirates didn't become pirates because they loved adventure. They became pirates because their lives were already terrible. In fact, many pirates were running away from something: poverty, debt, war, or cruel captains. Let's travel back several hundred years. You are an ordinary sailor, and your life is awful. You wake up before sunrise, work all day, get yelled at, get whipped if you make mistakes, and earn almost nothing. Sound familiar? Some sailors were treated worse than farm animals. Food was terrible, water went bad, disease spread everywhere, and many never returned home. Then one day, something appeared on the horizon. A black flag, a pirate ship, and suddenly, everything changed. Here's the crazy part. When pirates captured ships, many sailors voluntarily joined them. Yes, voluntarily. The criminals seemed nicer than their employers because pirate ships operated differently. Captains couldn't always boss everyone around. Many pirate crews voted. They shared loot. And crew members often had more rights than ordinary workers on land, which is absolutely insane when you think about it. Of course, there was a catch. Actually, several catches. Huge catches. The kind that might get you killed. Because becoming a pirate meant making enemies with almost everyone. Governments hated you. Navies hunted you. Merchants feared you. And rival pirates wanted your stuff. You could become rich. Very rich. But you could also die tomorrow. There was rarely a middle option. And before you imagine mountains of gold, let's talk about treasure. Because pirates weren't constantly finding treasure maps. Most of the time, they stole everyday cargo. Sugar, cotton, food, wood, spices, not giant chests filled with diamonds. The famous buried treasure stories? Mostly myths. Pirates usually spent their money immediately. The second they reached port. Imagine surviving storms, escaping naval ships, winning battles, crossing oceans, and then spending all your money in 2 days. That's basically pirate finance. But despite all the dangers, people still joined. Again, and again, and again. Why? Because freedom is powerful. Even dangerous freedom. At least, that's what they thought. Because the moment you step onto a pirate ship, the real nightmare begins. And trust me, the food alone might make you quit immediately. Next time you imagine pirate life, forget treasure, forget parrots, forget movies, because in the next chapter, you're about to discover what pirates actually ate. And let's just say, the rats were sometimes eating better than the humans. Congratulations. You officially joined the pirates. You escaped your old job. You left civilization behind. You're finally free. For about 5 minutes. Because now you have a brand new problem. You live on a floating piece of wood in the middle of nowhere. Let's start with sleeping. Or at least, trying to sleep. There were no private rooms, no comfortable beds, no fluffy pillows, no memory foam mattresses, and definitely no air conditioning. Most pirates slept wherever they could find space. On the deck, below deck, against barrels, beside ropes, sometimes practically on top of each other. Privacy did not exist. Imagine trying to sleep while the ship rocks constantly, left, right, every single night. And if a storm arrived, forget sleeping. Now you're trying not to become part of the ocean. Okay, maybe the food was better, right? No, not even close. Fresh food disappeared quickly. Fruit spoiled, vegetables rotted, meat went bad. After a few weeks, things became disgusting. Pirates often ate hardtack, a biscuit so hard, people joked it could survive longer than the ship itself. Sometimes the biscuits contained insects, sometimes worms, sometimes both. And pirates often ate them anyway. Extra protein. Imagine opening your lunch and discovering it is moving. That's pirate dining. Then there was the water. Fresh water was precious, and after weeks at sea, it became stale, slimy, and sometimes unsafe. Ironically, beer was sometimes safer to drink. Not because pirates wanted a party, because the water could be worse. Now let's discuss smell. Actually, maybe let's not, because pirate ships smelled terrible. Hundreds of people, little washing, sweaty clothes, wet wood, rotting food, dirty water, animals, and zero deodorant. If modern people could visit a pirate ship, the smell alone might knock them unconscious. And then there were the rats. Lots of rats. The rats ate food, chewed ropes, spread disease, and reproduced like absolute champions. One pirate might see 10 rats before breakfast, which sounds unbelievable until you remember there was no pest control. And speaking of disease, this is where things become scary. Many sailors suffered from scurvy, a disease caused by lack of vitamin C. Their gums bled, teeth loosened, bodies weakened. Today, you eat an orange. Problem solved. Back then, you might lose your teeth. And if someone became seriously sick, there was no hospital, no ambulance, no emergency room, just a ship in the middle of the ocean. Sometimes people recovered, sometimes they didn't, and everyone knew it. By now, you're probably wondering, why would anyone choose this life? Excellent question, because things are about to get even crazier, because despite the bugs, the smell, the disease, the storms, and the terrible food, most pirates agreed on one thing: the battles were even worse. In the next chapter, you'll discover what happened when pirates attacked, the weapons they used, how brutal pirate battles really were, and why some fights lasted only a few terrifying minutes. You've survived the food, you've survived the rats, you've survived the smell. Congratulations. Now somebody is trying to kill you. Most people imagine pirate battles like movie sword fights. Two ships meet, everyone jumps aboard, lots of dramatic fighting, heroic music plays, the good guys win. Reality? Not even close, because pirates preferred something much smarter. Avoid fighting whenever possible. Wait, pirates avoided battles? Absolutely, because battles are dangerous. Dangerous means injuries. Injuries mean fewer crew members. Fewer crew members mean fewer pirates sharing treasure. Nobody wanted that. The ideal pirate attack looked something like this. Show up, scare everyone, take the cargo, leave. No fighting required. That's why pirate flags were terrifying. The famous skull and crossbones wasn't decoration, it was marketing. The message was simple. We are pirates. You can surrender now, or things get ugly. And honestly, many captains surrendered immediately because they knew what came next. But sometimes, someone refused, and that's when the cannons started talking. Cannons were the kings of naval warfare. They could destroy sails, break masts, punch holes into ships, and ruin everyone's day. Imagine hearing a cannon fire. Boom! Wood explodes, smoke fills the air. People scream, and giant pieces of timber fly everywhere. Here's something movies rarely show. The wood was often more dangerous than the cannonball. When cannonballs smashed ships, thousands of sharp wooden splinters blasted through the air. Like giant wooden bullets, you could survive the cannonball and still get injured by your own ship. Then came the pistols. Pirates loved pistols because they were quick, loud, and terrifying. The problem? They were horribly inaccurate, sometimes missing targets only a few steps away, which explains why pirates carried multiple pistols, not because they were cool, because reloading was painfully slow. Fire, miss, grab another. Fire, miss again, grab another. Repeat. Eventually, ships got close enough, very close, too close, and now came the most dangerous part, boarding. Pirates threw grappling hooks, pulled ships together, and charged directly at their enemies. At this point, everything became chaos. Absolute chaos. Smoke, shouting, sword fighting, Falling sailors, flying ropes, broken wood. Nobody really knew what was happening. And contrary to popular belief, most pirates didn't fight with fancy swords. Their favorite weapon was often the cutlass. Short, heavy, simple, perfect for crowded ships, because giant movie swords are difficult to swing, especially when 20 angry pirates are standing nearby. And then there were accidents. Lots of accidents. People fell overboard, dropped weapons, got tangled in ropes, or simply ran into the wrong direction. Some battles lasted hours. Others ended in minutes. Sometimes the first cannon shot decided everything. But win or lose, every pirate feared one group more than anyone else, the Navy. Because merchant ships carried treasure, naval ships carried revenge, and navies had bigger ships, more cannons, more soldiers, and endless motivation to hunt pirates down. In the next chapter, you'll discover how pirates became rich, the truth about treasure, the biggest pirate myths ever told, and why most pirates never found buried gold.